What would you say to a young person that's kind of on the fence? Let's say they're just about to finish sixth form. They don't really want to go to uni, but there's that whole family pressure to go to uni. They don't really know what they're going to do if they don't go to uni. What would you say to someone in that scenario?
Right, here's my controversial take. Apprenticeships are really good. I would say if you have pressure to study from your family, pick an apprenticeship, and they can really go up to, degree level. You've got your level 4, level 5 apprenticeships, which are basically equivalent of like bachelor's or H&D. So I would, maybe pick like apprenticeship in marketing or even like administration, or there are some business apprenticeships as well if you want to do that. Or, if you want to do development, there are like software related apprenticeships, because yeah, you still get, some sort of education, you still get the paper, but you get paid,
Yeah.
even though
Yeah.
it's not
And
much.
you're
It's
working. Yeah.
apprenticeship rates, but you still get paid something, and you get that work experience. And the work experience is worth so much more, because when I worked at corporate, I got to a point where I was managing quite big teams, and I've hired a lot of people, and I've managed people as well. So some of the recruits we've got on some of the jobs and programs were people with like master's degrees and so on. And what I've noticed is sometimes people with zero education are better than those with master's degrees, just because they got real work experience. The problem at most universities, they just don't really teach you what real world work looks like.
Yeah. No, definitely.
And unfortunately, writing essays is not it. There are some exceptions where you can get really good work experience. If you manage to do that, if you get, real good work experience at like a big firms, if you're one of those guys that can manage that can get, to the top, sure, if that's what you want to do. If you don't want to start a business, if you want a job,
Yeah, I was
if
going
you
to
want
ask
a
about
corporate job,
starting a business. Would you recommend that a young person would do that at that really young age of sixth form, and they don't want to go to uni? What about starting a business?
if again you've got the luxury of, having parents that are understanding, and you don't need to worry about paying your bills,
Why not?
absolutely go for
Yeah.
it. Nowadays,
Yeah.
it's from one end both more difficult, but also a lot easier. I feel like the opportunities are much more open. Like when I was, when I was 16, 18, you couldn't really do that much. Like online business didn't really exist, not without a lot of capital, at least, and a huge amount of knowledge. Whereas nowadays, social media just gives you access to anything. You can, as long as you get a phone and access to internet, you can start a lot of businesses. Service
Yeah.
based mostly is the easier to enter. Anything else, you might need a little bit of money, but it actually might be a lot less money than many people think.
I suppose there is
And
a lot more
again,
competition now, though. Even though like, everyone can start one, but at the same time, the competition is
yeah,
immense.
yeah. So it's harder in terms of competition, but again, the opportunities are there. Talk about the whole content game, right? When starting a business, because I feel like there's a bit too much noise on social media about everybody just says, "Oh yeah, just start building, making content, posting on social media, and everything's just going to fall into place." It doesn't work like that. So I do think that, content and marketing has its place. Technically, we're talking about basics of marketing, and you need a few elements, right? You need to build trust with your customers. So you need to build a brand in a way. Um, but when you're starting, you've got nothing, right? If you already have a big brand and big following, it's different. But when you're starting from scratch, you gotta think about what brings the quickest ROI, return on investment, in business. And when you're starting any business, speed is key, because your time is precious, right? Building a brand takes time, and content is unfortunately not the fastest way to reach your customers. That's the bit of a scam that's being sold, like, oh yeah, just start posting and things will happen.
What would you say is the fastest way to reach a customer?
Just talk to them.
Okay.
It
Organic,
doesn't sound as
organically.
glamorous,
Yeah.
like, oh, make a video and everybody starts coming and everything is great. Just start talking to your customers, even before you make your product, even before you build, right? Before I even wrote a single line of code for Founders Tree, I DM'd more than 200 founders. I didn't have anything yet. It was just an idea.
Yeah. Impressive.
Get feedback right away, like, hey, tell me about this problem. Do you have this problem? Validate your idea, right? A lot of people build or make services that they think are good without actually validating that people have this problem in the first place.
Is that what you mean when you say most people overthink business? That they're just that you got to just talk to a
Sometimes it's
customer
the
and
simplest thing.
yeah, yeah,
So I can give you a good example of I'm not going to name names or give specifics. But I'm in a lot of business communities as a coach consultant, talking to a lot of new founders, and I've seen this so many times, like hundreds of people, literally hundreds of people do that. They get an idea for a business and they just start planning this whole big, like, oh, I'm gonna have a YouTube channel and I'm gonna use this AI to make this strategy, and then I'm gonna use this other AI to do this automation, and it's gonna take my YouTube, it's gonna post to to TikTok, to Instagram, it's gonna do short videos, and there's gonna be another AI automation, it's gonna take that, it's gonna repost it to LinkedIn, and there's gonna be another AI. It's like, and you've got this person that spent now they spend like 6 months crafting this strategy and studying all the automations and planning all of these things and making pitch decks to investors, and like, okay, so it's been 6 months, what's your progress? Like, oh, yo, got strategy, I'm posting 20 TikToks a day. Like, have you talked to a single customer yet? Nope.
no, it's good.
It's
It's a
like,
good point
so
to
you could
remind
have
yourself.
like literally walked up to the guy and made a sale
Yeah,
6 months ago. You could have done that.
yeah,
When you start a business, number one, it's very lonely. Number two, you're gonna keep running across problems that you cannot solve by yourself. Or if you try to solve them by yourself, it's gonna take you a really long time to learn. So what happens when you start a business for the first time? If you don't come from like a family with a business background, everybody thinks you're crazy. Everyone. Your parents think you're crazy. Your friends think you're crazy. If you're at work, your colleagues think you're crazy. Nobody gets it. Nobody. Everybody is like, are you sure this is good? How are you going to make money? What about it? Everybody is an expert, but nobody's actually helping because nobody fucking gets it. It's a completely different type of pressure to working. There's a bit of freedom attached to it, but at the same time, you are now responsible for every single choice that you make. All of your success, you are completely responsible, right? And it hits differently. And when you've got nobody to talk to, the pressure can absolutely crush you. And just going on social media looking for answers is really tough, because the moment you start looking for solutions to problems, you're just gonna get bombarded by all of these bullshit gurus selling you magical formulas that don't really work.
Definitely a lot of them as well online at the moment.
And it's tough because when you start, you don't know what you don't know, right? So it's hard to figure out, like, surely they're everywhere. There must be some truth in it. And I'm doing this and it's not working, right? And it's tough. So the best thing that you can do is start talking to other business owners and surround yourself with other business owners. When I went off by myself, I did after a few months, really, and I've had experience. I had previous experience and I was struggling, right? By that time, I was already older. I've managed teams. I had management experience. I had loads of coaching experience. I've had, corporate coaching business experience where I've run some programs, for setting up businesses. and so on. So I kind of knew a lot already. I knew a lot about sales, but there were a lot of things that I didn't know about, like acquiring clients online. Marketing, I knew a lot about traditional marketing, but not online marketing, right? So I knew something about advertising, local marketing, but online funnels, all of that. It wasn't my expertise when I started, so I had to learn all of that. So anyways, it was really, really tough, and I was really, really struggling at one point, trying to get some previous like colleagues on board to start a new business as well. And everybody was like, yeah, people will be a bit excited, but then they get cold feet, like, oh, I'm not sure if I can do this with my job. Maybe I should just stay in a job. Like I said, nobody gets it. Nobody gets it. And a lot of new founders, they turn to colleagues and friends and hope and ask for help. But you're gonna very quickly find out that these people are just, you gotta give up on them. You're not gonna get any friends. If they're not in business now already, they're not gonna be in business. Just accept that. So the best thing to do is to start talking to other founders. Make new friends. Surround yourself with other people, ideally that are already running businesses, because the mindset is completely different, right? When you ask friends, when you talk to colleagues, it's like, oh, are you sure about this? Whereas if you talk to people that run a business, they're going to help you fix the problems, because you need to have that solution oriented mindset. What people really, especially new entrepreneurs, miss out on is they're afraid to ask questions. But what you'll find out is if you come to another founder with a very, very specific question to a problem, 9 out of 10 times, they'll always help you. And you can even, like, I've talked I have people in my network that are way above me. We're talking people who have exited multiple businesses for hundreds of millions. I've got these people on my network that I can call and they'll answer because I've built those relationships. I didn't come to them pitching or selling them something. I've built that trust with them. And that's the power of networking. It's not pitching. It's not for lead generation. It's having that network that you can count on for help, for support. And eventually, if you build trust, you will get referrals and you will get business. Because if people trust you, they will refer others to you. But one good introduction or one quick phone call can completely transform your business or save you months of struggling, a lot of money wasted. That's the power of networking, and that's what I'm trying to give people access to. So you don't have to spend, 1 year, 2 years trying to build a network. I want to allow people to build it within days, weeks, and build a network that you actually talk to. The problem with LinkedIn and other social media or like big networking communities or business groups is because there are like no limits. Most people just use it for pitching. They just pitch slap, right? So there's a lot of noise. Most people don't want to really network. They just want to sell you something. That's one thing. Second thing, because there's no limits, you don't really focus on the quality. You focus on the volume. And my advice, it's better to have 10 people in your network that can help you with specific problems that you can turn to for help and they'll remember your name, rather than having 1,000 connections on LinkedIn that you've only said, hey, thanks for connecting, let's support each other, whatever the fuck that means. And once every 3 weeks you like each other's posts and that's it, and you never speak again, and you don't really know what the other person is doing.
Is that, if you were to say like the most important part of business to a young entrepreneur, is that what you would say, your network?
Build your network. What you need to figure out is, what problem am I solving, right? Who's got the problem and where to find those people.